Hello, I am back with another process video. I am going to be doing another minimalist collage, but this time I decided to start with gesso on my page. It is going to protect my page from any paint or water. I will be adding water-soluble gelatos, which are they're like a crayon or a pastel, but they can be spread about with water. So I knew that I wanted to do something like that, and so that's why I laid down a layer of gesso beforehand before I glue any papers down. I also left this bit in just to show you my little staple stacks of papers. They're just different things ripped out of books. They're also a lot of tracing paper that I've painted or drawn on to kind of create my own collage papers. That's one of them right there. I just have several stacks of those just close by, and they just make it really easy to do these collages. So these are the gelatos. Faber-Castell makes these, and I got a set for Christmas. And so I'm going to lay some of that down on the page over the dry gesso and the pencil. And you can smear these with your finger, even dry. But I'm gonna get a brush and wet it down and just smear that around. And it's gonna create a little bit of a watercolor effect, just to create it just makes it easier for me to get started sometimes if I have some color down before I start laying down papers. So these videos are just to give an example of the different ways to collage. I mean, there's so many different ways, but the different ways that my brain kind of plays it out and my process. So I had something on my finger there that like transferred onto there, so I had to go over it a little bit more with some more gesso. So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of muting out the edges with more white gesso. And gesso dries really quickly too, so because I have pretty thin gesso. Should I keep saying the word gesso? And I'm pretty impatient, so you can also, I have a hairdryer close by too, so often I'll use that as well, just to dry things quickly. Just like to get it done. Don't like to wait for things to dry. This is an ink pen. This is a Jane Davenport brand mermaid marker, and it just has ink inside, and it's a brush tip. So I know I wanted to do something with that little piece of pink paper, the homemade piece of paper that I had made right there. And so I knew that was the direction I was going. And I keep auditioning little pieces of paper. Again, it's just not really planned out, and I'm just trying to figure out what works best in my mind, what feels good. And none of this is feeling right to me. Getting a little frustrated. So I changed directions completely at this point. I go to my little junk basket, and I decide to head in more of like a black and white direction and see if that will help me. Usually if I go back to the very basics of black and white, I can figure something out. So I do that in my clothing, I do that in my art. And then I remember I have all these washi tape. So now I'm feeling it. I feel like it has a little bit more of a direction now. And this is the point where I'm just getting done, and I just realize I have to quit fussing with it, and I need to start just gluing things down and stop worrying about, there's no perfect piece, there's no perfect composition, and I just need to lay things down. And finally I get to incorporate this little piece of homemade paper. Well, it's not really homemade paper, it's handmade, I guess, hand painted paper. So I just use tracing paper, and I use inks and markers and paint, and I just paint all over it and create layers, and then I rip them up and use them as collage, both in my paintings and in my journal. So, and I have my China marker out now to create some more bold black lines to just repeat that kind of the black elements outside of just the papers. I felt like it needed a little bit more pop of brightness, and so I got that Liquitex paint marker out. It's looking pretty good to me. And then I wanted to incorporate some more of that orange that I had originally put in with those gelatos. And so I just got a Posca marker, paint marker, and created some pops of orange that would draw your eye around and away from the black a little bit. Doing some dots and marks and things like that. And then I need a little bold pink in there, and it's about done. So the only other part that's left is to name the piece. And so oftentimes the piece that I'll glue in sometimes will have words on it, and it will, you know, give it a name, but other times I need to search a little bit more. And then I just look for words that jump out to me, and they're often on papers just sitting around or like in my staple stacks like that, and I just look until I find what works. That's how I find it. Thank you guys so much for watching.